So we're diving into Eggs Unscrambled by Conrad, Riker.
Yeah.
And like, wow, this isn't just some simple cookbook.
No, not at all.
It's more like, I don't know, the ultimate guide to everything eggs.
It really is.
We're talking history, culture, even psychology,
Mm-hmm.
all connected to this one food that we probably all have in our fridge right now.
And, you know, you all sent this book in so clearly. You want to understand eggs better.
Yeah.
And honestly, after skimming through it, so do I.
I'm ready to get cracking on this if you are.
Oh, absolutely. I think what might surprise people is how much the egg's journey kind of mirrors our own, you know.
Oh, okay, how so?
Well, we're going to go all the way back to the very first eggs millions of years ago and see how they evolved, how they ended up on our plate.
All right, I'm intrigued. Chapter 1 here throws us way back like 330 million years ago.
Wow.
Eggs even predate the dinosaurs.
That's right.
Can you give us an idea of what those first eggs were like?
Well, you know, they weren't the hard-shelled eggs that we're used to seeing today. I mean, imagine something more like a soft, leathery pouch, almost jelly-like, you know? And these early eggs, they were laid in water by, you know, ancient amphibians and early reptiles. And that water, that's what provided protection for the developing embryo inside.
So the hard shell that we associate with eggs that came later on.
Exactly. As life started to move from the water onto land, eggs had to adapt.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so that's when we see the tougher, leathery shells develop, and eventually those hard, calcified shells we see now. It really was a game changer for survival on land.
Oh yeah, land is a much harsher environment.
Yeah.
You definitely need more protection there.
For sure, from predators, from the elements, everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that one adaptation, the hard shell, it allowed species to colonize all these new environments.
It's a real testament to the power of evolution.
It really
It's
is.
stuck around for millions of years. That says a lot.
Absolutely.
Chapter 1 also talks about how the yolk, that's always been this powerhouse of nutrients,
Oh, yeah.
it fuels the development of the embryo.
Yeah. The yolk is like nature's perfect food packet. It's got everything the embryo needs to grow and thrive. And that nutritional richness hasn't gone unnoticed by humans throughout history.
It's amazing to think something as simple as an egg. It's played such a vital role in the development of life on Earth.
I know. It's like this tiny little survival capsule.
Yeah, and speaking of survival, Chapter 2 gets into all these amazing ways that eggs have adapted to different environments and
It's
challenges.
been challenging. Yeah.
You won't believe some of the variations that are out there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Give me an example.
Okay, so you've got the thorny devil, this Australian lizard.
Okay.
Their eggs are covered in spikes.
Spice. What?
I know. Which not only keep predators away, but also help collect rainwater.
Oh, wow.
Channel it down to the egg itself.
That's incredible.
It's a clever adaptation for a desert environment, right?
Yeah, nature's own defense system.
It really is.
Never would have imagined that.
And then there's the kiwi bird, which lays this egg that's proportionally enormous compared to its body.
Really?
Yeah, this giant egg gives the developing chick a huge amount of yolk to give it a head start.
Wow. So each egg is tailored to that species' specific needs.
That's right.
That's fascinating. But let's be honest, most of us aren't thinking about, survival when we crack open an egg.
Yeah.
We're thinking about breakfast.
That's true for most people, I think.
Right.
But that's where Chapter 3 takes us, from these wild adaptations to the world of cooking.
Okay.
And you may think you know your way around an egg, but this book might surprise you.
All right, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
What kind of education are we talking about here?
Okay, let's talk about the Maillard reaction.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how eggs turn that beautiful golden brown when they're cooked?
Yeah.
Or how they get those complex savory flavors?
Uh-huh.
That's the Maillard reaction.
Okay, I've heard of it, but explain it like I'm 5.
All right, so it's a chemical reaction between amino acids and sugar that happens when you heat food. And it's not just color and flavor, it also creates the texture of cooked eggs. It helps them solidify and you get that satisfying mouthfeel.
So eggs aren't just ingredients, they're like these little culinary powerhouses.
They really are.
Never realized they were so complex.
And that complexity is what makes them so versatile in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They're leavening agents in cakes binders and meatballs, emulsifiers and sauce. I mean, the list goes on.
My mind is officially blown. I had no idea I was relying on so much egg science.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, in my everyday cooking.
Yeah.
And we're just scratching the surface.
I know, right?
Eggs Unscrambled takes us on this global tour of egg dishes, from simple to exotic.
Absolutely.
Have you ever tried a Japanese rolled omelet or tamagoyaki?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't, but it sounds delicious. What makes it special?
Well, it's delicately layered, slightly sweet, and you often see it served in sushi.
Wow.
It's a real testament to the culinary artistry you can achieve with eggs.
Right, you've officially expanded my egg horizon.
I love to hear it.
I'm adding that to my list of things to try.
You should, and that's just one example. We haven't even gotten to the cultural significance of eggs.
Oh, yeah.
Or their history in art, mythology, religion.
Wow.
There's just so much more to discover.
Well, I'm definitely hooked.
Good.
From ancient amphibians to my breakfast plate, the story of the egg is far more interesting than I ever imagined.
It's a fascinating journey,
Yeah.
and we're just getting started. Next time we're going to delve into that symbolism, the cultural impact.
Okay.
You might be surprised at what we uncover.
Can't wait. Welcome back. Last time we left off with this idea that eggs, they're like culinary chameleons, capable of so much more than just scrambled or fried.
Yeah, way more.
But Eggs Unscrambled doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't.
It takes us on a journey through history and explores how eggs have influenced cultures around the world.
Absolutely.
You ready to dive into Chapter 4, The Egg in History?
Oh, I am. You're in for a treat. It turns out that eggs have been a part of human civilization for a very, very long time.
I believe it.
Archaeological evidence shows that humans were gathering and eating wild bird eggs as far back as 1.8 million years ago.
Wow. So eggs were a part of our diet even before we were, well, us as we know ourselves today.
Exactly. And as humans developed agriculture and began domesticating animals, chickens quickly became a prized possession, not just for their meat, but for their reliable egg production.
Right, a walking food factory.
Exactly. Eggs became a symbol of sustenance, wealth, even fertility in many cultures.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A chicken that lays eggs is like a little food factory you can keep in your backyard.
That's a great way to put it. And Eggs Unscrambled really delves into how different cultures around the world have incorporated eggs into their traditions, rituals, even their mythology.
Okay, give me an example. What kind of egg lore are we talking about?
Okay, well, in ancient Persia, for example, decorated eggs were a symbol of new beginning.
Okay.
And they were exchanged during the spring equinox celebration of Nowruz.
And this tradition, it still continues today.
That's beautiful. I love how something as simple as an egg can hold so much cultural significance.
It really is powerful. And it's not just Persia.
Right.
Eggs appear in creation, myths, fertility rituals, even funerary practices across so many cultures. Like in ancient Egypt, eggs were associated with the god Horus.
Okay.
And they were believed to represent rebirth and resurrection.
So the symbolism of the egg, it seems pretty universal, even if the specific traditions vary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It speaks to that power of the egg as a symbol of potential transformation and that cycle of life.
Yeah, and that symbolism even carries through to art as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm thinking about all those beautiful Easter eggs,
Yeah.
the intricate designs, the vibrant colors.
It's an art form in itself.
It really is.
Chapter 5, Eggs is Art. It explores the history of egg decoration from simple dyeing techniques used in ancient times to those incredibly elaborate, ornate creations we see now.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. What are some of the most fascinating egg art traditions out there? Well, one that stands out is the Ukrainian art of pysanki.
Pysanki?
Yeah, these are intricately decorated eggs using a wax resist method.
Oh, man.
So the artist uses a stylus to apply melted beeswax to the eggshell,
Okay.
creating these intricate patterns and designs, and the egg is dyed.
Yeah.
And the wax is removed to reveal this beautiful, colorful design underneath.
Wow, that sounds incredibly intricate and time-consuming.
It is. And pysanki, they're more than just decorations. They're considered to be talismans.
Really?
Imbued with symbolic meaning and protective power.
That's amazing. I love how art and tradition are intertwined in something as simple as an egg.
It's pretty incredible. And speaking of tradition, let's not forget about eggs in holidays and celebrations.
Yes, of course.
Chapter 6, Eggs and Festivities, takes us on a global tour of egg-themed celebrations.
Okay, I'm ready for some excitement. What are some of the highlights?
Well, of course, there's Easter, which is arguably the most famous egg-centric holiday in the Western world. The tradition of decorating and hiding eggs, it's thought to have originated in pagan spring festivals, celebrating fertility and rebirth.
Makes sense. And let's be honest, Easter egg hunts are fun for kids of all ages.
They are. But beyond Easter, there are countless other traditions. In many parts of Europe, for instance, eggs are a key part of May Day festivities representing spring and that renewal of life. They're often painted red, which is seen as a lucky color.
Eggs are like little symbols of hope and celebration around the world.
Exactly. They represent the promise of new beginnings, the potential for growth,
Yeah.
and that cyclical nature of life and those themes. They resonate across cultures and throughout history.
I'm definitely feeling a lot more appreciation for the humble egg now.
Good. I'm glad.
But I have to admit, when I think about eggs, my mind usually goes straight to the grocery store aisle.
That's fair.
What about the modern egg industry?
Yeah.
How did we get from gathering wild bird eggs to the mass production we see today?
That's a great question. And Chapter 7, the egg industry, takes us behind the scenes of this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Great.
It's a fascinating journey that sheds light on how eggs have become such a ubiquitous part of our modern diet.
Okay, I'm ready for the eggs pose. Where do we begin?
Well, it all starts with the domestication of chickens, which happened thousands of years ago.
Right.
But the real turning point came in the early 20th century with the development of industrial farming practices.
So that's when things shifted from small-scale backyard flocks to large-scale commercial operations.
Exactly. Innovations in breeding, feed production, and housing systems allowed for the mass production of eggs. at an unprecedented scale. Suddenly, eggs were no longer a luxury item.
Right.
They became an affordable and readily available source of protein for the growing population.
That makes sense, but I know there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the egg industry in recent years.
Yes.
Particularly when it comes to animal welfare.
You're right, and Eggs Unscrambled doesn't shy away from those difficult conversations. In fact, the next chapter delves into the various production methods used in the egg industry today, from battery cages to free-range systems, and it explores the ethical considerations surrounding each approach.
That's definitely something I want to learn more about. I think a lot of people are concerned about where their food comes from and how it's produced.
Absolutely. And as consumers, we have the power to make informed choices that align with our values.
Well, this deep dive has already been an eye-opening experience. Who knew there was so much to learn about eggs?
And we're just getting started. Next time, we'll explore the ethical and environmental implications of the egg industry.
Okay.
And we'll look ahead to the future of this incredible food.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our extravaganza. We've covered so much ground already, from the evolution of eggs
Oh,
to
yeah.
their role in art culture history.
Absolutely.
Eggs Unscrambled doesn't shy away from those more complex issues.
No.
The sometimes controversial aspects of the egg industry.
Right.
So today we're cracking into Chapter 8, Eggs and Ethics. Are you ready to tackle this one?
Absolutely. This is something that I think every conscientious consumer should be thinking about,
Yeah.
It's about understanding the choices that we make
Right.
and how those choices impact the lives of the hens that lay the eggs that we consume.
I think a lot of people are aware of the term battery cages.
Yeah.
But maybe not everyone fully understands what that entails.
Right.
Can you paint a picture of what life is like for hens in those systems?
So imagine a space so small that you can barely move, let alone spread your wings or engage in any natural behavior. That's the reality for millions of hens in battery cage systems around the world.
Wow.
These cages are often stacked on top of each other, row after row, in these massive windowless warehouses.
It sounds incredibly cramped and stressful. I can't imagine what that must be like for the hens.
It's a far cry from the natural environment that chickens evolved to live in. They're denied access to fresh air sunlight, the ability to, scratch peck forage for food. They can't even form natural social hierarchies or engage in dust bathing, which is so important for their feather health.
It's heartbreaking to think about. So what are the alternatives?
Right.
We've talked about cage-free and free-range systems, but are those truly better options?
Well, they can be, but it's really important to understand the nuance.
Okay.
Cage-free simply means that the hens aren't confined to individual cages, but they're often still kept in large crowded barns with limited access to the outdoors. Conditions can vary a lot depending on the farm and the specific standards they adhere to.
So just seeing cage-free on a carton of eggs doesn't necessarily guarantee that the hens lived a happy and healthy life.
Exactly. It's so crucial to look for additional certifications that ensure higher welfare standards. Free-range systems, on the other hand, do require outdoor access for the hens.
Okay.
However, the amount of outdoor space provided and the quality of that space can vary quite a bit.
So it's all about doing your research and making informed choices.
It really is.
Are there any specific certifications or labels that consumers should look for?
There are a few. Certified Humane is a good one.
Okay.
They have really rigorous standards that cover everything from housing and space requirements to feed and water quality to the handling of the bird.
That's really helpful to know. I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to those labels from now on.
Good.
But, beyond the ethical considerations, Eggs Unscrambled also delves into the environmental impact of the egg industry, right?
It does. Chapter 9, Eggs in the Environment, explores the challenges of producing eggs in a way that's both ethical and sustainable.
Okay.
We're talking about manure management, water usage, greenhouse gas emissions, the impact of feed production.
Right.
It's a really complex web of interconnected
It
systems.
sounds like there's no easy answer, no one-size-fits-all solution.
That's true. But there are certainly steps we can take to move towards a more sustainable egg industry. Some producers are experimenting with these innovative approaches like permaculture and regenerative agriculture, which focus on creating closed-loop systems that mimic natural ecosystems.
That sounds promising. Are there any other innovations on the horizon that could help reduce the environmental impact?
Well, we've already talked about lab-grown eggs,
Right.
which have the potential to really reduce land use, water consumption, greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
And there's also a growing movement towards urban farming, which could bring egg production closer to consumers, reducing transportation costs and emissions.
So the future of eggs might look very different from the industrial model we're used to.
It might.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is. And that brings us to the final chapter of Eggs Unscrambled.
Okay.
Chapter 10, The Egg of Tomorrow. Conrad Riker leaves us with a sense of hope, emphasizing that the future of eggs is ultimately in our hands.
Right.
As consumers, we have the power to demand better welfare standards, to support sustainable practices, and to drive innovation in the industry.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by these big issues, but ultimately, our individual choices can make a difference.
They really can. Every time we choose a carton of eggs, we're casting a vote for the kind of food system we want to see.
Yeah.
By being informed, by making conscious choices and supporting producers who are doing things right, we can help shape a future where eggs are produced in a way that's good for the hens, good for the planet, and good for us.
Well said. This deep dive has been an incredible journey.
It has.
I've gone from being a casual egg eater to someone who truly appreciates the complexity and the importance of this amazing food.
And that's what we hoped for. We wanted you to walk away from this episode,
Yeah.
not just with, a head full of egg facts,
Right.
but with a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of our food system and the power we have as consumers to make a difference.
Mission accomplished. If you're feeling as inspired as I am to learn more about eggs and the choices we make, be sure to check out Eggs Unscrambled by Conrad Riker.
It's a great book.
You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Until next time, happy cracking.